43 Al-Shabaab. Here are the top stories on the hour. 43 Al-Shabaab militants killed in Somali airstrike. Palestinian death toll rises to 6 after raid in Jenin. Malawi controls the worst cholera outbreak in history. Welcome to the World News and VOP TV. I am Kayla Abraham. A search and rescue mission is still underway for a submarine that went missing in the North Atlantic on an expedition to explore the wreckage of the Titanic. Lieutenant Jordan Hart of the U.S. Coast Guard in Boston confirmed that the personnel were currently undergoing a search and rescue operation when asked about the rescue efforts off the coast of Newfoundland. At a news conference on Monday afternoon, Rear Admiral John Moga confirmed that 5 people were aboard. A Coast Guard official identified them as an operator and 4 mission specialists, a term the company uses for its passengers. The vessel submerged on a dive on Sunday morning, and the crew of the Polar Prince, the ship that ferried the submersible, and expedition members to the dive site lost contact with them approximately an hour and 45 minutes into the vessel's dive. Ocean Gate Expeditions, a company that deploys manned submersibles for deep-sea expeditions, confirmed in a statement that its sub was the subject of the rescue operation, adding that it was exploring and mobilizing all options to bring the crew back safely. The company did not say whether any of the people on board are paying tourists. It takes them as passengers on its expeditions. The U.S. Coast Guard said it had a C-130 crew searching for the sub approximately 900 miles off Cape Cod, and that the Rescue Coordination Center Halifax is assisting with a P-8 Poison aircraft which has underwater detection capabilities. Aircraft are searching from above, while vessels also search on the water. Sonar buoys have been deployed in the water in an attempt to listen for the missing sub. They are capable of listening to a depth of 13,000 feet. The Coast Guard is also working with military and civilian partners to develop a rescue plan if the vessel is located underwater. Somalia's government says 43 Al-Shabaab militants, including 2 senior commanders, were killed in Somali National Army forces during a weekend airstrike in the Lower Juba region. Somali National News Agency said the attack was carried out by Somalia's international partners as the militants and their commanders gathered to plan attacks against government soldiers at the Bassa Nguni military base, which is home to the Somali National Army and local forces. The statement did not specify the foreign partner that conducted the airstrike, but often U.S. Africa Command drones carry out attacks on Somali militant targets. The news comes as Somalia's Council of Ministers nominated Brigadier General Ibrahim Sheikh Muyanding Adaw as the new commander of the Somali National Army. A spokesman for the Somali Defense Ministry stated that the appointment follows a proposal to remove General Odawa Yusuf, who has held the position since March 2019. These military developments are coming at a time when the army, with the help of forces from neighboring countries, is up for the second phase of an offensive against Al-Shabaab. A Palestinian has died of wounds from an Israeli military raid in the West Bank city of Jenin on Tuesday, taking the death toll to 6. The ministry disclosed in a statement that a 48-year-old man was shot in the abdomen by Israeli soldiers in Jenin on Monday and succumbed to his injuries on Tuesday. The ministry disclosed that the Israeli raid resulted in the injury of 91 other Palestinians, including 23 in critical condition. The military incursion triggered clashes with angry local residents, during which Israeli forces used live fire, tear gas canisters, and sound bombs. An Israeli military helicopter fired missiles at a residential building during the raid, marking the first use of military aircraft by Israel in the West Bank since 2002. According to the army, 7 Israeli soldiers were wounded in an ambush of an armored vehicle during the raid. The Israeli raid in Jenin drew a wave of condemnations from several countries, including Egypt, Jordan, Qatar, Turkey, and the EU. Tensions have been running high across the occupied West Bank in recent months amid repeated Israeli raids into Palestinian towns. At least 170 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces since the start of this year. At least 21 Israelis have also been killed in separate attacks during the same period. Russian drones targeted the capital Kyiv and other cities in the early hours of Tuesday, hitting critical infrastructure in Lviv in the west. The attacks on the capital and Zaporizhia in the south were both described as massive. Ukraine's Air Force said 35 drones were launched and all about 3 shot down. The local authorities stated that no one was hurt in the attack on Lviv after explosions rang out early on Tuesday. But the head of the regional authority, Maxim Zgotsky, disclosed that a critically important target had been hit 3 times by Iranian Shahed drones and fire had broken out. More than 20 drones were fired at the capital in waves from Russian territory to the north and from the coast of the internal Sea of Azov in the southeast. Kiev authorities said it was the first such incident in 18 days. Zaporizhia was attacked by a number of Iskander-M ballistic missiles, adding that nobody had been hurt. 3 drones were also shot down over the southern region of Mykolaiv, the governor stated this. The Zaporizhia region is the focus of much of the Ukrainian military's current offensive to recapture territory seized by Russia at the start of its full-scale invasion in February 2022. Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar said hours earlier that Ukrainian forces had recaptured the village of Piatikati as they tried to break through Russia's front line in the southern region. She stated that it was the 8th Ukrainian village to be recaptured in the past week. There has been no independent confirmation of the latest development. In a nightly TV address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that in some areas, the military was moving forward while in others, they were holding positions against Russian attack. The defense minister stated that Ukraine's push had advanced some 7 kilometers in 2 directions in Zaporizhia towards the occupied southern cities of Melitopol and Berdyansk. The exiled mayor of Melitopol, Ivan Fedorov, disclosed that residents had seen Russian forces leave the Kherson region further west for the front line in Zaporizhia. Melitopol and Berdyansk lie on a coastal route from Russia to Crimea, seen as critical to the Russian military because the bridge over the Kerch Strait from Russia to occupied Crimea is largely avoided by supply lorries. A Russian MP stated earlier this month that the bridge was not considered secure, but the land corridor was operating normally. Western intelligence officials stated the Russian troops have moved away from the front line in Kherson since areas around the Dnieper River were flooded after the Kakhovka Dam was destroyed on 6th June. Military authorities in Myanmar have announced the death of 4 men and a woman arrested in connection with an attack on a police station in Myanmar's central Bagar region. They were among 34 locals arrested in suspicion of involvement in the April 27 attack on the police station in the Wild Township. On Monday, an official of the Wild Township People Defense Force stated that the families had been notified of their deaths. They were told to hold funerals but did not receive the bodies. The official added that 2 other men were shot before their arrest. People's Defense Joint Forces attacked the police station in April, leading to a police roundup of locals over several days. They took in 20 people for questioning on April 27 and 28, and another 14 on May 1. Locals stated they did not know if those arrested will be charged or released. The acting head of Iran's trade promotion organization has declared his country's willingness to expand trade ties with Burkina Faso and export technical engineering services to the country. Mehdi Zengami made the remarks in a meeting with Issa Boro, the Secretary General of the Foreign Ministry of Burkina Faso in Tehran. Both countries are setting sights on the expansion of commercial relations on the same scale with political cooperation, which they hope to present at the upcoming Joint Economic Committee meeting between them. According to Zegami, the expansion of business relations is not possible without the businessmen of the 2 countries getting to know each other, especially during conferences organized to iron out interests common to all parties concerned. Earlier on Saturday, Barrow had announced that the West African country is going to open an embassy in Tehran. Malawi is making good progress in its battles against the deadliest cholera battle outbreak in the country's history, which has killed nearly 2,000 people since its onset in March of last year. Health authorities said that the country has seen a steady decline in the death rate with no new cases or hospitalizations for the past 2 weeks. A cholera report, which Malawi's health ministry released on Sunday, shows that the outbreak has been fully controlled in 21 districts, including Lilongwe, which reported most of the cases. The government stated that in a few areas were still reporting cases. George Mbotwa, spokesman of the health office in Nsanje district, stated that the district is recording an average of 1 or 2 cases per day, but that number is lower than the average of about 30 daily cases during the peak of the outbreak. Mbotwa said the cross-border cases largely happened because most Mozambican nationals stay away from the country's health facilities and seek medical assistance at Malawian hospitals. He stated, however, that the efforts are being made to contain the cross-border cholera infections. Finally, on his first trip to California since announcing his re-election campaign, President Joe Biden announced $600 million in federal funding to fight the effects of climate change after touring a Northern California nature reserve with Governor Gavin Newsom on Monday. The financial commitment from the president is expected to only enhance Biden's strong political support in California and among Americans concerned about the environment, 2 constituencies critical to the president's bid for a second term. A top Biden rival in the 2024 presidential race, Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, was also in California during a fundraising tour, and Vice President Kamala Harris spoke at a Juneteenth celebration in Los Angeles, an indication of the outsized role the state may play in the election. The Biden administration funding to combat climate change, which will be awarded by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration under the Inflation Reduction Act, will help coastal and Great Lakes communities susceptible to storm surge, sea level rise, and flooding and support innovative solutions to boost climate resilience. The Democratic president touted his administration's work to fight climate change. Biden highlighted $2.3 billion to modernize the electric grid under the federal bipartisan infrastructure law, including $67.4 million to California. And that is a wrap on the World News on VOP TV. I am Kayla Abraham, and thanks for watching.